Every other transformation isn't some sort of power level multiplier. Transformations in Dragon Ball are excuses for a character to start coming out ahead and fight on a higher level against the opponent they were losing to before, and to look cool as fuck and shiny and new at the same time.
Oh, so simple-minded. Well, actually, Pinwheel, according to the super exciting guide and, Toriyama, it clearly...
Shut the fuck up! Oh my god, I know! Stop parroting the same fucking comment!
I've gotten this same exact comment so many times that I feel compelled to finally actually address it. I generally decided to stop making Dragon Ball related content because the comments section of Dragon Ball videos are putrid and vitriolic for zero reason. But I decided on a whim this morning after hearing the same transformations multiplier bullshit in response to what I said that I would clarify it. And as a side note, this is going to be my last Dragon Ball video analysis for a long time. So, let's address a plethora of random crap I found in the comments section before I kick this series to the curb on my channel.
And, since this is going to be my last one about Dragon Ball for a while, maybe sneak in some jabs about some more garbage content in the community, hint hint.
Let's start with the clip from my previous video I showed you at the beginning with me talking about power levels. If you look at the entire context and point this video is intended to build up to, which admittedly is a little murky given it was my second video ever of this nature, the video is talking about how people miss the forest for the trees with what Dragon Ball is about and they don't give much thought to the story structure. When I said transformations are not multipliers, the first thing everybody did who made a video response or a comment was look up the interview with Toriyama where he says Super Saiyan is a 50-fold multiplier, which completely ignores the context surrounding the statement. Do I still hold that transformations aren't multipliers? Yeah, in a sense, I do. And that multiplier values are arbitrary, which many people took as me saying Kaioken is arbitrary by some mistake I can't even begin to make sense of. What I was saying was not that they aren't literal multipliers, as they clearly do give rise to strength in the characters. What I was actually saying was that the number by which these transformations multiplies a character's strength is almost entirely arbitrary. The only reason it can't be completely arbitrary is because Kaioken has story-established multipliers, and no transformation stronger than Kaioken can have a lower multiplier than that. But that's besides the point. Here's the deal. Does the multiplier by which Toriyama states Super Saiyan multiplies a Saiyan's strength matter? Nope. The story plays out in exactly the same way, whether it was a 50 times multiplier or a 100 times multiplier. Goku and Frieza have an intense fight and Goku wins. The number does not matter. Period. And the fact so many people were hung up on this inconsequential detail was my exact criticism I was going for in the original video. The narrative dictated that Goku had to get stronger to beat Frieza, and Super Saiyan was how he achieved that. At the end of the day, who the fuck actually cares what number the multiplier is so long as the fight is satisfying? Did anybody actually watch the Frieza fight on Namek and pause to ponder the mathematics of it all? Of course not. The number was never important enough to be distinctly addressed in the manga nor the anime, and your enjoyment of the show would be in no way impacted if Toriyama never stated it in the first place. Let's be totally clear. I basically said that transformations are a cool new design on a character to show that they've gotten stronger and that they can now fight on par with or above the level of their current opponent when they first achieve the transformation. When you look at the writing of it, that's how it has went almost every single time in Dragon Ball. That's what makes it such a fun and badass series. And if you're really hung up on using that Toriyama interview against my word, he even explicitly states that he had thought about the level by which it would increase Goku's strength while writing it, which means that, regardless of what number he chose, the outcome in the story would have still been the same. These people who are obsessed with getting the strength of a character down to his science beyond what the original author has ever considered is a downright waste of time, and will only let you extrapolate meaningless data that has no purpose. If somebody did the math on how fast every train can go in Thomas the Tank Engine, would you not think that's ridiculous and absurd? Would it have any impact on the show? Of fucking course not. While my original video isn't very well edited and has some things I would admit I have changed my mind on, the point of it still stands. A lot of Dragon Ball fans really don't give a shit about the story structure, or the fight choreography, or the lighthearted, adventurous aspects it still sometimes presents. They care about debating how strong these characters are in some objective sense by removing all of the fun parts and taking it as seriously as possible. This shit is, frankly, the pseudoscience of anime. People also seem to take issue with how I use the terms power scaling and power levels interchangeably because it's not the exact same thing. If you want to go down the interview rabbit hole like others did with me, yeah, Toriyama literally says right here that they were to make it clear for readers to understand how strong an opponent was, which is basically what power scaling is. By the way, if you commented that I was basically saying that I don't think it matters if Krillin beats Beerus, I would recommend not intentionally twisting my words like a child and actually listening before slamming your face on a keyboard like a doofus. Power scaling exists. I never said it doesn't. I never said it's always been well done in Super. There. Apparently, being at all against people who overanalyze one of the most basic anime around for looking at it too critically means that I just don't get it. And finally, on a more somber note, my last point before I kick the serious analysis of Dragon Ball off of my video schedule for a long time. Dragon Ball is simple. Incredibly simple. It is insanely rare that anything in this show has any deeper meaning or secrets beyond what is directly stated or mentioned through dialogue. It is so in your face that an 8-year-old can likely follow it with no issue. The length that some of you go through to try and wring this series dry for stuff to be critical of or find deeper meaning in is incredibly absurd. I talked about this previously, but I wanted to elaborate on it one last time. Dragon Ball is the only anime left out there that multiple majorly followed channels create content solely about week to week, from 15-minute discussions on the fucking next episode preview to reviews of the episodes that are as long as the episodes themselves. This isn't to be critical of people who make genuinely thought-provoking or fun, creative content about the show. I love Plague of Gripes' videos on power levels and TN, because he takes on actually grievous issues with Dragon Ball's writing when you break it down to the very basics. I think Masako X's videos are great because he has some serious knowledge on the show and twists that into genuinely fun ideas, and he has a ton of variety in the content he generates. But let's be real about a lot of these content farm channels. The reason a lot of you see so many solely Dragon Ball centered channels is because they generate views like no other and are incredibly easy to make clickbait for. There's a reason that almost every anime related subreddit allows video content to be posted, but the DBZ subreddit bans, and I quote, DBZ tubers. Because of its worldwide popularity, it's incredibly easy to capitalize on Dragon Ball as a franchise without having to put much thought or effort into it. And I think a lot of people that force out content for every new episode are compelled to look at every single detail at length to hit the 10-minute mark. And they know it's easy to get views by talking in circles for 10 minutes or shitting on a show they don't enjoy every week because people will watch it. I seriously think that this has contributed to this shitty and toxic culture amongst Dragon Ball fans, where every facet of this franchise is put under intense scrutiny that it was never meant to be seen under. And now that Dragon Ball Super has ended since I recorded this video over a month ago, please don't kill me, I'll finally speak my mind about the Dragon Ball YouTube community one last time. Let's talk about theory videos. Let us not forget all of the theories about the Grand Priest being evil, Jiren wanting to start a divine war, and Zamasu corrupting the second Zeno, and so on and so forth. Now, think on this really hard if you watched these kinds of videos during Super's initial airing. How many of these theories came true? Maybe 5%? How many of these stupid-ass theories involved overanalyzing single lines of dialogue or bending over backwards to find some new tripe shit to talk about? Maybe 95% of them? Like, come the fuck on. If there's one thing I wish I could meme into existence, it would be for people to just mock the shit out of this kind of low-hanging fruit content relentlessly until it's fizzled out by the time Super returns. People expecting some grand lore or genius plan that ties everything together in Super that's been going on clearly do not understand how Toriyama writes stuff. I'll let this speak for itself, and on that note, I'll end just by saying this. I hope that when Dragon Ball's anime returns, whenever that may be, people wake the fuck up and remember what Dragon Ball is, has been, and will always be about. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you followed me before and noticed my schedule being broken and behind, yeah, life will do that to you. I'll try and upload as much as I can, and I have a podcast in the works that I'm editing when I have time, but college takes priority over everything else for me, sadly. If you liked what I had to say, you can also follow me on Twitter in the description. Alright, I'm out. Peace.
Hey, what's the matter, Mr. Mouse? Why do you look so fucking dead?